Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Well, we've got Steve Kuhn. He's the owner-operator of In the Zone Guide Service out on the Willamette this morning, chasing some springers around. Spring Chinook, that is. I actually got that from something. What do you mean by springers? Forgive me. Sometimes I just assume, which is always bad, kids. Don't do that. Chasing spring Chinook around with his clients. He's actually in the greater Portland area down there, rolling around with a handful of his best friends. But all right, so today's Saturday, tomorrow being Sunday, it's the weekend. We got some decent weather. What's your plan for the remainder of the day? Are you going to bounce around? Are you just going to keep doing the quote unquote drunk troll, or what are you going to do?
No, I'll probably bounce back up near the ramp and try around there. There's a couple little spots around there that I like to try that sometimes hold fish. But like I said, this morning I rolled through there, they weren't there. But there is a tide change coming up here. I think down here it's at like 10 or 11 in this area. So, around noon up there. So that's kind of what I want to do. Get up there and see if some fish maybe are just holding in some of the areas that I usually get them. So.
Can you explain to us what that means when you do that? Do you go up to an area and maybe run your graph through it before you drop your gear? What do you do? No. Do you get above an area that you want to check out and then troll through it? Mm-hmm. What do you like to do? How do you like to break that situation down?
Yeah, usually I'll troll down. And like right now I'm trolling through here and I'm just not marking a bunch. So I've maybe marked 2 pods, 2 little groups of fish, but I started at the Broadway and came all the way down here, and it's just not what I'd expect to see. So I'm going to probably move up to some of those other holes, kind of run through them, see if I can find where some fish are. And then if I find those fish, I'll try to stay on those fish.
Gotcha.
But like I said, I haven't seen anything right now. I just said, oh yeah, they're right here. Let's target this area a bunch. But when I do find them, don't leave the fish if you find the fish.
Yeah, that's an old adage, and it holds true to this day. Don't leave fish to find fish. So that's a perfect point. So I got to go back to that a little bit. Are you trusting your electronics to tell you that those fish are there, or are you waiting for one of your rods to go off before you decide to hang out in that particular area?
No, I'll trust my electronics because sometimes you just have to go over them 4 or 5 times. If you keep marking them through the same spot, eventually they might at one time just decide, oh, it's the right part of the tide, we're going to bite now. So that's kind of why you just keep beating them up, going over and over and over them, and then hoping that if you stop marking them, then leave. But if you keep marking them every pass through, maybe stick around that area. And you can really troll both ways out here. So if you do mark them, you can whip around real quick and kind of try to stay in that area. But when you're searching for them, I like to troll downhill until I actually find the fish, and then I'll troll both ways on top of them sometimes.
All right, another question I got to ask you. So if you do get in that situation and you start seeing fish on your fish finder, you're trusting what it is that you're seeing. If they're suspended in that area, they're going to be suspended, everyone. But the further upriver you go, or even downriver, you're going to get into shallower water under 20 feet. When you do see that and you're not getting bit, is there something that you do first, like the very first thing that you change to say, okay, well, they didn't bite this on this pass. Here's the first thing I'm going to do to see if I can get them to change their attitude and be a biter as opposed to not?
It could be either speed or it could be the depth. You might be too high over the top of them. You might need to drop them down a little bit and get right in their face. But sometimes they do want it above them. Sometimes they'll come up off the bottom to come after your stuff. And, if you're right there on at their level, sometimes they won't necessarily go after it at that time. But if it's above them, they'll come up and attack it that way. So sometimes I'll just change the depth going through there and speed. And that's probably it.
Okay.
I'll freshen things up sometimes. Like if I notice them too, I'll say, okay, let's put a, fresh batch of, shrimps out, or repack the super baits, stuff like that, to really see if that was the reason why I didn't get bit, was because maybe the bait's been on a little bit too long or something. So.
Yeah, good advice. And, that's always something as just a, regular fisherman like myself, and like most of you, if not all of you at home right now, those little things can make the difference, and it can be frustrating when maybe you just don't know where to start. So it's a great bit of info there. All right, it's the 20th of April. Nobody knows what's going to happen on the Columbia. You and I both want to be as close to Bonneville as we can. That's just where we're comfortable. I mean, I'm not speaking for him, but I know that I see him there every time I'm up there. But we want to be there. So there's a very outside chance. I mean, so slim that even some are saying that it's not an option that we're going to get back out there, right? So what are you going to do the next handful of weeks going forward? Are you going to stay on the Willamette? Are you going to switch gears? What are you going to do? And do you have any availability for folks that might be watching to get a hold of In the Zone?
Yeah, definitely have availability. And I'm going to stick it out in here, you know, as long as the water temp stays below, 58 degrees, it should be pretty decent around all the spots around here. But then once it gets above that temperature, then you're going to kind of see those fish stay down below, the St. John's Bridge and stuff. This area kind of dries up a little bit once that temperature gets up, but and then it'll be Oregon City, it'll be St. John's, and then still some in the channel. But I think I'm definitely going to just stick it out until this water, really shoots up. But hopefully we get some. I love this weather we're having, but if we have too much of it, it can kind of be a little detrimental to this fishery. So
yes, it can.
Warm weather early, it's just makes it dry up pretty quick. So hopefully we get a little cooler weather in the next couple weeks and keeps this water temperature down.
Yeah, and some rain. Katie Suniga had mentioned this.
And we'll have some snow melt too that'll help, but that can only last so long. So.
Well, and the best way to get a hold of you, just go to your website, Steve.
Yep, go to my website or just text me, email, text, call, whatever. So.
Well, if you have that opportunity, everyone, we'd recommend it. You've got some very good opportunities going forward. This season has been a slow start, which, as a duck hunter and ever the optimist, means that we haven't missed it, that we got some great opportunities coming, right? So,
and anybody knows this goes for into July, so usually every year.
Which is crazy. I mean, that June fishery is really turned into a thing. Even though that's when I'm out on the Columbia, I prefer everyone to be in the in the Willamette. That's just me. But if you get the chance to get out there, I'm sure that Ryan showed his info to get a hold of Steve. If you get out there and are able to fish with them, good luck to you. And he will put you on them if they're there. You can't catch them if they ain't there. It's just that simple. Right. Steve, thanks, man. We really do appreciate a little bit of insight from you. Say hi to the wife and the kids, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Steve. Great guy, and if you get a chance to do some fishing with him, by all means, take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, so we're going to cut to a quick break. When we come back, we've got some Facebook questions I want to answer. We have one phone call that's hanging, but if you call now, we might be able to get you on as well. It's 503-548-6777. We'll be right back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. And by Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective.